What's going on, everybody? It's Purple Haze here. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. Want to first say happy early Mother's Day to Rabolica in chat. If y'all did not get to see in the Discord, she got a new PC. So way to go, Granite and family, for getting her a new PC. We're super excited to see her making content. She's over there on Twitch. But you can catch her every single time she goes live. We now have her hooked up in the Shades of Purple Discord. So awesome job, Rebecca. Here we go. I'm ready for Purple Haze. Bad take on GTA 6. I don't necessarily have a bad take on GTA 6. I mean, it's part of my thing, but not really a bad take. Hey, I'm early. I'm early. Oh my goodness. And also thank you, Rouser, for coming up with the idea of the in real life Discord channel. So Rouser got us started with that. And then Ambi also put some stuff in there. So if you want to see Ambi's amazing fish tanks that he does, you can go check that out. And not to be forgotten, Joe. So y'all know Joe is our resident game developer, and he's over at PAX East, and he has tons of stuff he's been doing video video game developers and other like cosplay people. He's just having a blast over there. So shout out to Joe and just shout out to the community. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the community I said earlier this week. So I think Ambi was the one who noticed it. 600 subscribers. So we made it to 600. Really excited about that. Obviously, y'all are a huge part of that. And a lot of it had to do with my most recent video. Well, getting over the hump. This most recent video is second only to one other video as far as watch time. It's the most viewed video I've ever done. And so, with that, I did want to put out a disclaimer just to everybody. I will be doing a couple of more videos that are probably a little bit more provocative or controversial, kind of testing up some stuff. Obviously, it's going to be the same type of content, like business type of stuff, but I have a couple more things that I want to dive deeper into on that last one. Or I guess it's more of a carryover from the last one. Some of it came from in the comment section. So for everybody who commented in that video, thank you so much. But yeah, so just beware. You're going to see some thumbnails and some titles to some videos that you're going to be like, oh my goodness, Purple's one on the deep end. But I promise you, it's always going to be like grounded in the reality or the basic business knowledge that I bring to it. So be on the lookout for that. I have two more that I just got done filming. And all I gotta do is like edit it. So we should have one of those out tomorrow, and then probably the next one will probably be out sometime like Wednesday or so, Tuesday. So we have that. So just wanted to put that out there. But for everybody else, well, I guess that's all y'all anyway. We do have a topic today, and this topic came from a few people. Also, we have some games that launched last week. One of my top 20 most look forward to games actually launched last week. We didn't say anything about it. And we have another top 20 game launching this week. So we definitely want to talk about both of those, as well as a couple of other games out there. And we may see a few trailers and so forth. They're kind of long, but when I say long, I mean like an hour, a minute, 30 minutes. Seconds. So not too long, but definitely want to get those out there for y'all as well. All right. With that said, today's topic. I forgot what I named this one, but I know it's episode 138. And so episode 138, what we're going to be diving into a little bit is on the gaming industry. And so shout out to a few people, but a special shout out to Jack of all trades. You may remember Jack from a few months ago came on and we talked about gaming, and I was in his chat the yesterday or really early this morning, depending on how you think about it. Anyway, I was in his chat and he said, "Hey, Purple, do you remember when we were talking on our Shades of Purple?" And I was like, "Of course I remember." And he mentioned on that show, we talked about the decline in gaming. And obviously, he's like a first person shooter type, totally different types of games than I play, but we both kind of talked about this general idea. And so what he wanted to talk about is he's like, "Hey, what do you think now?" Like, do you think we're in a crash? Do you think this is just a minor blip? And so I had him kind of explain a little bit more what he meant, and he explained it. And so what I thought I would start this segment off with is just to recap what I said had to happen at the beginning of the year. I said the entire gaming industry, and that's might maybe a little hyperbole, right? But the entire gaming industry, in my opinion, was reliant. Hey, hey, Billy, what's going on? I see everybody's coming through. My thing just updated, so I saw these things. And Zach, oh, that's fast. What's going on? And I spoke about this earlier that the entire gaming industry is really dependent on two companies, right? If you recall, that one of those companies is called Nintendo, and one of those companies is called Take Two Interactive. And they're slightly different. Why the industry is really dependent on these two for growth. But I think it still holds true. There's nothing that's made me really change my hypothesis on that. And for Nintendo, it was a little different, right? I said that Nintendo was going to have a really big challenge on its hand because it was going to be creating a new generation of tech, Switch 2. And its thing was going to be to drive demand amongst like casual gamers, cozy gamers, those family gamers, the gamers that are really, really, really crucial to the Switch ecosystem. Hey, Obi, what's up? We're just doing a little business talk. And so, with that said, what have we seen? Well, we've seen for the most part that Nintendo is selling out of its Switch 2. There's a huge demand for it. We just got some reports out earlier today, actually. So this is from Nintendo, it's from Reuters, but a couple of other people are reporting on the same thing. Nintendo expects to sell 15 million units. Now, this is actually super conservative. Some of the most conservative analysts are saying 20 million. Some of the most ambitious analysts are saying like 25 to 30 million. It's really going to probably depend a lot on how the supply chains work, especially when we start talking about tariffs and so forth. That's really going to probably drive that number. But for Nintendo to say 15 million, that would make it one of the largest console releases in recent memory, if not the largest one. So I've seen Nintendo's doing a thing. We're gonna still have to wait and see what's to come from the third party software sales. And that's kind of why I want to talk about Nintendo really quickly. And that is because if we were to step back from each of the consoles is really like, and when I describe this to people, this will not come to any surprise of you all, but it's like a mall if you think about it. You have like a Nintendo mall, you have a console, Xbox mall, and a PlayStation mall, as well as a Steam mall. But when it comes to those three consoles, it's really they each have their own storefronts, digital storefronts that you can, for the most part, only access within the system. Obviously, there is some mobile. You can do mobile for PlayStation, and just recently you could do it for Xbox. But for the most part, they act as like these things. Like they get gamers to come in. Gamers buy a lot of digital games from them. Obviously, you can still do uh, physical games, but for the most part, digital is outweighing physical by a large margin. And you stick around, you buy the game you want to buy, but many times you may see a sale going on. You may see another game you meant to pick up. You may see a developer or publisher type of sale. And a lot of times you're going to pick it up as well. That's why we have these huge gaming backlogs. So, hey, girl, what's going on? And so that's how I think about it. You got the Nintendo Mall with the Nintendo console, the Xbox Mall with the Xbox console, and the PlayStation Mall. Now, they each have their own different, like, kind of selling positions and different pricing models that they do. But for the most part, that's a mall. And so when we think about Nintendo really quickly, why it was so important is was because it was going to bring like this different demographic hopefully back to gaming, getting them excited about gaming. And there was going to be a lot of third party support on that console. So that's why if we go back to the Nintendo Direct that released the Switch 2, what do we see? We saw like a huge like presence from third party developers. And that isn't by coincidence. They all are looking at this Switch population of gamers who many times are Switch only or potentially Switch dominant, multi Switch family households. And they're all coming to try to sell more games to a population that potentially didn't get them in the first place. Great strategy. So from that regard, Nintendo's done its part, right? At the moment, Nintendo's driven demand for the Switch 2. It's so far trying to get more consoles in people's hand, trying to maintain the price that they initially set out. And we're going to have to see how the software sales actually pan out. Now, let's talk about Take Two. Take Two was the other company I said had to do well this year for the gaming industry to really kind of continue to grow. And when I say to continue to grow, stop the bleeding, more or less. And it's not because they own a console, but everybody knows it's because of Grand Theft Auto 6, right? Grand Theft Auto 6, huge title, probably the biggest launch in the last decade, an incredible fan base. Even though the game is roughly 11 years old, Grand Theft Auto 5 still is in one of the top revenue generating games year after year after year after year. And so with Grand Theft Auto 6, you're looking at bringing in another, like, for one, selling the base game. So tons of revenue from that, just selling that. But what we also know is that when people pay for a premium title, a lot of times they stick around to play it. And again, it's kind of the same idea, but because they were going to stick around and play that, potentially it was going to drive growth for other games as well as you get this huge gaming population coming into the PlayStation and Xbox ecosystems. So, what did we hear earlier this week? Well, we heard Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be delayed into 2026. So, what does that mean for the gaming industry this year, right? If I was already somewhat negative on it, and I said that you needed these two companies to do really well this year, and now one of companies isn't even releasing this year. It is releasing next year. Now, I do want to put a caveat out there that they did the same thing with Grand Theft Auto 5. They said it was going to release in a year and ended up being released a little bit earlier than that. So I do want to put that caveat. I also want to put the caveat that this is Rockstar. All right. If y'all did not know why Rockstar Games calls themselves Rockstar Games, is because they truly feel like they are rock stars. The founders of that studio truly, truly believe that they are rock stars when they develop a game. And you can't lie when you look at the success of their games. And so I I'm not putting, like, I wouldn't be surprised if things shadow dropped in like a month. Like, right? I just am not, when it comes to them, I think they do really good stuff. Start saving your money now. $10 a month, 130 for the deluxe package, potentially. Potentially. I rather have a delay game than a buggy or half finished game. Not that I play. Well, Rebecca, I am with you. I don't play Grand Theft Auto either. My brother does though, and he's kind of like my barometer on what's breaking through like very casual's not even the word, inconsistent gamers. Like, he has his certain things that he likes to play, or he at least likes to buy it in case he wants to play it. And Grand Theft Auto is one of those games. Mortal Kombat's one of those games. Grand Theft Auto is one of those games, and he has like another one that I can never remember. But those are his games. And so he's excited about it. He didn't really know it was coming out this year, but he did hear it was getting delayed. So take that with a grain of salt. But that kind of takes us to this idea about other gaming companies. Like, right, I think Take Two Interactive is to be totally fine. I don't like they're actually coming out with Mafia 4 in August. We saw that trailer recently release. And Take Two just always does well. Like, I don't have any issues with them. But it's the ripple effect of that. And I think there's kind of multiple ripple effects here. Obviously, there's the ripple effect of that type of gamer who is going to spend more money with Grand Theft Auto 6, who potentially is playing Grand Theft Auto 5. They are going to continue to be kind of hands distant, like a little bit, distant with the gaming consoles than they would have been, or less engaged than they would have been if Grand Theft Auto 6 had came out. So that has kind of this derivative effect of like, well, less engaged gamers means probably less money going to those other groups that really depend on bigger titles drawing the foot traffic or the gamer traffic to see their properties and their titles. So just again, going along with this mall analogy. And in this situation, Grand Theft Auto is a tremendous storefront in its own right. And the other stores around Grand Theft Auto 6 would benefit for Grand Theft Auto 6, GTA 6 opening. Best way I can having a grand opening. How about that? Um, so there is some questions there. Obviously, I think the gaming industry is going to grow less without Grand Theft Auto 6 than with Grand Theft Auto 6. But I also want to talk about Nintendo because I don't think Nintendo is necessarily off the hook either, right? And what I mean by this is we've talked about it. I've gotten in arguments with Cowboy over it. Y'all see me. I think I made a video on this. And what that has to do is, are there no other games coming out besides Nintendo games? I'm not interested in any of those. No, there are. There are. But we're talking about the industry as a whole. The industry as a whole. Like people think I say like no games are coming out, but we're talking about driving the industry. Those two were driving the industry. So if we think about Nintendo, Xbox as well, PlayStation as well, just not in the United States, raising their price. What has that done? I've always said that I think like there's this offsetting effect between this price elasticity. If you raise the price, you lower demand, but because you've raised the price, there's kind of like this like price equilibrium that happens, right? And I think that's what's going to happen. But what that does mean is this is that there's less players coming through. And I continue to say why I argue the gaming industry is in decline isn't necessarily because I think it's going to be like this uh gaming crash of 1983. I think a lot of people misinterpret that. I also don't think it means that there's no games launching, right? I've mentioned numerous times that whether we're talking about a monetary crash of 1992, the gaming crash of 1983, the housing crash of 2007, 2008, even COVID, even though we've had like huge drops in the market or in the economy, there were still companies that did well. And I think the gaming industry is the same thing. But by far and large, I think we're in contraction. And that contraction is mainly being driven by a lack of gamers, not necessarily a lack of games. I would actually say there are so many games out in the market right now that it is hard to stick out with your game. There are live service games that are competing against brand new marquee AAA titles, that are competing against indies, that are competing against like 2-year titles. Like you have so much competition for people's attention. On top of this, you have social media, which we did not have at the same level, thinking about like TikTok and shorts. You have social media at a very, very, very like high level. Like social media is out there at a as a competitor for people's attention. On top of that, you're starting to have a generation of people who actually are having a hard time just maintaining attention. This is actually something that's been noted in the movie industry, which is that there's a large segment of the population that is opting out of watching movies and sitting down there because they cannot focus for 90 minutes to 2.5 hours for a movie. And so we're seeing a drop in the movie industry, even though we just had a great movie called like Sinners that just launched. Just a few years ago, we had the Mario movie that launched earlier this year. You know, the Academy Awards, there was a couple great movies there. But by far and large, we would not say AMC, Alamo Drafthouse, Regal Cinemas. We would not say these are like the booming places for the economy, right? Like you're seeing all of them close back. Cineplex, all of them are shutting down and having to consolidate, right? And I think that is being driven. Why? Because there's not enough moviegoers. And despite opinion that, like, hey, if we don't go uh buy games, the gaming price is going to come down. It's like the movie industry. Has the movie industry stopped charging, like raising prices on tickets? No, not for the most part. And so the gaming industry is going to, I also believe, continue to contract. You're going to have continually fewer winners. The incumbents are going to continue to be there and potentially lack innovation. And it's going to squeeze that outer layer, right? That layer. Hey, someone, what's going on? EA Games sometime. No problem, Rebecca. And I see another one. How much do y'all think Metroid Prime 4 will be priced at? 70. Have you been to a theater lately? It's so expensive. I have. Well, lately, what was the last movie I saw? I think I told y'all. I forgot. It was at Regal. I forget what it was. It was last year though. Um, but I still understand what's going on in the media industry, right? And this isn't like necessarily news if you study the media industry, what I'm talking about, right? If we think about every single thing in media, whether it's print media, whether it's traditional TV, cable media, if we think it's the movie industry, the music industry, all of these have kind of went through their own reckoning over the last like decade to 2 decades, depending on where you're at, right? And gaming, for the most part, was shielded by it, right? During the Great Recession of 2007, 2008, we actually saw gaming increase throughout it. And at that time, what everybody in the gaming industry would say is like gaming was recession proof. And we would also say something to the effect of like, no matter what, people are going to maintain gaming. That has been challenged over the last few years. And what I attribute that to, again, is a decline in the number of gamers. Not only is it a decline in the number of gamers, it's across the board. You're a heavy hitter, your hardcore gamers are spending less, your casuals are spending less, everything. There's less time being spent on games. This is what it is. And so again, I continue to think that your incumbents are going to probably continue to do decent, and we'll get to your EA comment there. Uh, and you're going to continue to see those other groups that I would say are probably dominating the 2A, not quite legit 3A, right? Those kind of groups are going to struggle. Indie publishers, I think, are going to continue to struggle. And this is all in a signal that there's less, not only less gamers, but when you have less gamers, a smaller consumer base, you have less investment in gaming. This is just like the natural thing. People don't look at a segment of the market and say, "Oh, that market's stagnating," or "Oh, that market is maybe even shrinking. Let me just go invest a ton of money in there." And this is panning out if you look at any chart that actually shows private investment, public investment in the industry. And so it's kind of this cyclical effect, or not cyclical, but this like circular effect. And so I continue to believe that, unlike what Jack was saying, which is he was kind of hinting at, and Jack, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments because I know you watch these later, but Jack was saying like we're in a crash now. And I don't think that. I just think we're in a decline, a contraction, a prolonged contraction. And this idea is not really known in Western economies, especially your bigger ones. Like they don't understand, like this idea that the economy can stagnate for a long, long period of time, especially in America, we just don't have this. But depending on your locale in the European Union, you know about this. Depending on if you're in Japan, knows about this. Different parts of the world have experienced this, and I just think the gaming industry has not seen, especially the Western market. Now, if you're China, which I probably will talk about here in a second, if you're China, you're not kind of experiencing this. Your industry is still growing at a clip. But let me get to y'all's comments. Okay, I see Rebellica's EA comment. Have you been to a theater? Movie girl, what's that? Go where? I don't go anywhere for movies. I watch them at home. That is a great thing to do. Trump is adding his 100% on movies, so that will not help. I thought that was foreign movies, and I thought that that was kind of like him randomly tweeting, like he was going to open up Alcatraz, which I'm not gonna lie, Purple like 35 years ago would have been like, yeah, let's open up Alcatraz. But Purple who's now like visited Alcatraz a couple of times and like I'm like, but you said you weren't gonna spend money. Like, I I don't know if it's a great idea, but like back 25 and so forth, I thought that would have been a decent what was that movie with Sean Connery? The Rock. I thought that was like one of the coolest scenes where you have Marines versus Navy SEALs. I don't know. I just thought that was a cool scene. All right. I see so many young people that are absolutely furious that the new content comes out in packs for The Sims and it isn't added for free to the base game. That's the other thing. And so that's the other thing that I see with gaming is you have an entire generation who's actually starting to hit adulthood who grew up with free to play games. Right? Like over the last 10 to 11 years, they've had free to play games. And don't get me wrong, they'll spend money when they want to spend money. The model obviously works, right? The free to play model works. But as you have them having to spend more money because of inflation, that sticker shock, do we see them starting to spend the money that I would say Gen X, millennials, even maybe older Gen Y? Do we see them spend that level? Because right now, especially in the console AAA space, um, it's really that older demographic that's holding up the industry from what we know, which I'm not going to say is the entire industry, but we also see a decline in mobile gaming. This isn't not just a console AAA gaming. We see less play time on many of the long-standing live service free-to-play games on PC. So again, it's not just like one thing, but because there's so many different mini shocks to the system, and I think consumer preference is somewhat changing a little bit on what they expect because of what they got in the past, right? If you were someone who thought Roblox and Minecraft and uh what is the Fortnite or whatever you want to name the free to game play, you were super excited about that. And now as you're aging, just like we see the disgruntled like adult gamers today. Well, I imagine like these younger gamers are gonna be disgruntled too when they realize like, yo, no, you have to pay for things. You know what I mean? So more to come on that. I don't think they get that nothing is developed for free. Yeah, I think like I said, I just feel like and to kind of get back to my point, there's just so many competing ideas in gaming right now. Like there are so many like things that would to me point to just a prolonged period of contraction. Like that's the best way I can explain it. And to kind of like think through this episode today, this segment, I really kind of went back and thought about like, okay, what are the the business crashes or the business recessions in the past that I can go back to kind of see like is there any similarities or is this time different? Like what can I do? So I went back to like the first one I can remember, which is the gaming crash of 1983. I then looked at the Japanese stock market crash in 1987, 1988. I went to the dot com bubble of the early 2000s. I looked at the monetary crash of 92. I looked at the housing crash of 2007 to 2008. I looked at in final and not least, I looked at the what we saw during COVID. And each of those are different, by the way. None of them are necessarily the same, but you do see a similar pattern, which is we see a period of large amount of growth, but not only a large amount of growth, but this idea and mentality that the growth would continue even though it was unsustainable. So you saw this in the gaming crash of 1983, the late 70s, the early 80s. You just saw a ton of people coming in saying that gaming was going to continue to increase. Hey, David Wilson, what's going on? We see this in the dot-com bubble, right? We see this on the run of currencies. We see this in the Japanese market in the economy. We see this in the housing bubble. We see this idea that it's just going to continue to grow. And so if we look at the gaming, what happened during COVID, what happened? We see gaming saw this huge amount of growth. A ton of investment came into gaming. That gaming was going to continue to grow at like some 15, 20% year over the year throughout the 1920s or the 2020s. All right. So that one makes me think, okay, like there is this idea that you went through this period of relatively large growth. And that relatively large growth has somewhat uh, created this false sense of safety, even though your initial uh, perceptions isn't the right word, but your initial instincts were to say that it was going to keep growing. So we see that continue to grow. There's another idea there that we also have on quality that I think can also somewhat mirror the two, right? If we look at the 1983 crash in gaming, we see a tremendous amount of quantity hit the market, but also with that quantity, there was some lack of quality, right? So this is what we start to see with, Nintendo Entertainment seal of quality, right? It became because of that quality. If we look at some of the bonds that were being written in the early 90s, early um, exchange crashes of the early 90s, again, we start to see tremendous amounts of quantity of bonds being sold that were actually low credit quality bonds. If we look at the dot-com bubble, we started seeing like just anybody who could get a domain name with .com at the end of it started to see a tremendous amount of growth, even though some of these websites had no way of actually monetizing past the fact that they had a website. If we look at the housing crash, we can already say that there's quite a bit of mortgages that were low quality on that side. And then again, right now, what do we see in the gaming industry? Hey, SVG, what's going on? Um, what do we see now? We see that there is a lack of quality control on certain games. I actually got it. This was part of the conversation I got in with Cowboy. I said that over the last 2 decades, gamers have somewhat forgotten what a complete game was. Now I know he's gonna be like, "Oh, but now we get add-ons and blah blah blah." But I was like, "Yeah, but before the add-on was what? The add-on was an achievement in a game, right? If I wanted to unlock characters in Super Smash Brothers or Mortal Kombat or whatever, I had to do certain things in the game. If I wanted to unlock certain abilities and certain things in GoldenEye, I had to beat a level in a certain time or using certain weapons or doing certain things like that. What we now do is we now say that those things are add-ons. The newest Call of Duty had a sound feature that was an add-on. Now, I'm not saying, like, again, I argued this on Cowboy's channel earlier this week. I'm not saying every add-on is predatory, and I'm not saying every DLC is a bad thing. I'm not saying every season pass is a bad thing. What I am saying, though, is there is an element of us forgetting what a complete game was. Like, we now have this interpretation. There's certain games that launch that are somewhat buggy and broken when they launch. One of the games I really liked last year, Black Myth Wukong. I thought it was a great game. But there is a certain point towards the end of that game where not only was I getting the screen tearing, but the entire fight sequence would go black and white basically every other time I fought this certain it was a secret boss in the game. Now, I obviously I like battled through that, I eventually beat the thing, but that is an example, and that is not the only example, right? We can all think about games that have launched recently that are kind of buggy, kind of so forth, not being delivered on a quality stand front, the quality side of things. A good example could be is Tears of the Kingdom, no DLC or ad. That's good point, Billy. Good point. I think there are companies that do this well, but there's a lot of companies that don't do this well. For all of the criticism that we have put or the gaming industry and gaming media has put on $80 games, I can probably go yes or no on that. But I wanted people to really focus not so much on the $80 game. I want people to focus on the 60, 50, 40, $30 games, right? Because that also is where we see potentially issues with quality. Yes, the $80 game may have raised the price to $80 for these like games that sell tens of millions of copies. Like, I'm not going to be the one that says, like, no, Call of Duty shouldn't charge this, or Mario Kart shouldn't charge this, or this other game shouldn't charge this because they sell tens of millions of copies. They obviously have their fan bases. What I'm looking for is that two-way game that creeps up to 60 to 70, where traditionally it was probably hitting more like 40, right? Do we scrutinize that game? That's where I look at the quality question. And are you get what like we've always had this subjective idea of what is worth what. I just played Blueprints, probably a solid 60, 70 hours in that game. And some of that's obviously like me like writing things down and going to walk somewhere and so forth. So whatever, let's say 50 to 60 hours in the game. Simple game. I don't even know how much it costs because I got it on PS Plus, but I think it's like $30 or so. Solid. What about the next game that's $30? What about the game that's 20? What about the game that's 15, right? We just saw Mafia is going to launch at 50. It's going to be a linear game, not open world game. Is that a 50? Now that's going to play probably similar to like Indiana Jones. We have this weird notion, and when we have this very subjective pricing in the market, and you have certain companies that are willing to push to $80, this is where you start to see inefficiencies in the market. And again, as you see inefficiencies, as you see prices raise, you see a lack of demand just because prices raise, demand goes down. Again, what does the gaming industry have right now? It has a crisis in players. CD Keys is our friend. Oh, yes, SVG, PC Gamer there. I hear you. Bunker Breakout will launch bug free. We hope it does. We hope it does. Well, to be fair about price, if I purchased day one on PC games with gold editions are already SVG, I just got in a huge argument with Cowboy on this. I totally hear you. That gamers have already been shown to want to purchase $120 to $130 gold edition of games. I totally hear you, right? I totally hear you on this. But that's why I say over the last two decades, the gaming industry has morphed in not really understanding what a complete game is. When does a game end versus when does a game begin? Like, I think I talked about this with Diablo. Where does Diablo end versus where does it begin? Now, I get the game is designed for you to like buy season passes, buy expansions. I totally get that. But where does a story end to where does a story for a game end? I don't think we've come to this like understanding. We've kind of taken the idea that maybe what was initially considered a DLC is actually like a full-on another game, or maybe an expansion is really something that could have been a season pass. Maybe like don't even get me started on the 2K or the Maddens or the Call of Duties, which is essentially the same game. But they charge you year after year after year after year after year after year. Like, could you imagine if Mario Kart came out and then the next year we had another Mario Kart, but instead instead of it being called Mario Kart World, we called it Mario Kart 26? People be like, no. But somewhat we have this subjective idea about pricing, which again creates inefficiencies in the market. These are the things why I think these inefficiencies, again, just like we saw inefficiencies in the gaming crisis with a ton of supply coming onto the market and not enough quality control, just as we saw a crisis during the dot-com bubble in quality, tons of uh, internet protocol or internet web domains coming online. Not a lot of thought to like which ones are quality or not quality. Just as we saw the subprime mortgage issue, I think this idea that we give certain games and certain things, this very subjective idea, and certain games can launch with bugs while other games can't, that we criticize games that have a certain character. It's created to me an environment that's ripe in um, this kind of inefficiency. There's no self-correcting mechanism. The only self-correcting mechanism is when you truly hit like a rock bottom, which is what you would have saw throughout any of those other crises. Hey, well, Joel, how are you? You'll get less for more and more likely not owning anything. Something has to give a tad. Could be SPG. You know what? I have y'all noticed bag of chips? They're getting smaller. I just I don't know why you said that, but in my mind, I'm like, has anybody else noticed this? Bags of chips are I saw a bag of chips that was literally like it was like a pocket. It was like that. I never seen this. It like 50 cents. I was like, what? I don't know. What do you mean? In Mario Cartoon, Mario will now yell, Wahoo, 20%. Well, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's so again, I look at the similarities, the quality similarity, right? I think about this idea of sustaining um this unequal, this un sustainable growth idea, right? And there's other things I can continue to go on. Like there's tons of investors flooding the market and then getting burned, right? I can see that. Like if I were to bring up a chart about how much investments been there versus now, like you can see that. You always get like once there is a change in distribution or technology, like again, these things start to rub head in head against certain things. So instantaneous trading in the early 90s, you went from arcade to console to home PC kind of in the mid 80s there. So there was this like changing of the guard. Internet, as the internet was coming on, it was like this change in technology. Like, it's always like there's just certain trends that, of course, I could use this for the entire industry, by the way, entire market, but I focus on gaming because to me, gaming is so large, it's easy to point out. And people say, do I think it's going to be a crash? No, I just think it's going to be a steady rate of decline. And I don't know, like Rabaka asked me about EA. I think EA is a company just like any of they understand their cash cows. And by understanding their by knowing what their cash cows are, they know where they can drive up profit margins. They're not going to change the formula, right? They know, Rabalica, that you are a fan of all the Rabalica. How many DLC packs do you buy? Tons of them, right? And they know that instead of offering you like a complete game, they can just offer you a DLC pack. Right? Small changes in the code. Some of them may break the game, but for the most part, it's not like you creating a whole entire game. They're able to it's like the same. EA does this with Madden. This is probably the best example. I think sports games are just like, I don't, you can literally recreate the next season of the game within the game. If I were to take NBA 2K23, I can recreate NBA 224 by doing trades and doing player creation on my own. Friends do not let friends buy stuff. Sums for alone has 90 or 90. This is crazy. Crazy. And wow. That's a lot of money. Ravalik is a true fan. But they have these fortified modes. So guess what happens as what did I tell you? That third rail of gaming right? That periphery, the ones that don't have necessarily the huge AAA title, right? What happens there? Like as I said, you have the malls, you have the Nintendo mall, you have the Microsoft mall, you have the Sony mall. They have their big things. Grand Theft Auto, grand opening. Nintendo Switch 2, grand opening for that new storefront. That brings in the foot traffic, which is through the digital stores. And you see these other games potentially getting bought. That's truly what drives a large part of the industry. And there are so many companies, so many developers that live at that margin. So when you and some of those are indie developers that are doing amazing work, great games. The one I think of, Dotnod, the French studio, right? Banishers, right? If you look at Dotnod's like list, great games, right? What about the Plague Tale? Another one, friend, like great, awesome storytelling games, but they're doing awesome stuff. But it's that type of game, that type of publisher that suffers. So when that publisher suffers, what happens? They go under, and then what happens to their IP? It gets gobbled up. By who? It gets gobbled up by the people with the moat who can withstand these periods because they have the cash cows that they don't change anything to. Epic, Xbox, Nintendo. I say Nintendo's not quite the same. Like you see these, that's the pattern. And until something changes, until we get some new technology for distribution, until we get some new consumer preference for game, you're going to continue to see this slow, steady decline. Again, I'm not saying that there aren't good games out there. We're going to showcase some of my top 20 coming out. I'm not saying that. But Purple's a gamer. But for every 10 hours I game less year over year, the casual gamer starts to go watch what's ever new on Netflix or what's ever new on what's that other thing? TikTok. The hardcore gamer kind of takes a step back, continues to play some of their backlog. For every single time that's less people gaming, less money being brought in. And let me just make it very clear, many of us grew up with a gaming industry that just was growing and growing and growing and growing. And maybe this is a healthy pullback. I also want to make one more caveat here, and that is the gaming industry is growing in one area. And that area is China. And I think as we continue to see the Chinese kind of command a premium in their gaming market, right? Black Myth Wukong is a great example. Something like 18 million copies sold, like 17 million were in China alone. You see this with a lot of their game studios and game companies. As we see them starting to build behemoths, as you see the Tencents of the world starting to go into AAA gaming, I think it's going to be a double whammy to Western gamers. As Western gamers have been basically coddled, they've been the main customer. They've been the main consumer. They were the consumer that was growing. And what happens when it's another part of the world? I don't think Americans, North Americans, Western Europeans are quite used to that. Again, I like to use this saying, if you think I'm talking about gaming, you're right. If you think I'm talking about something else, you're also right. And you're going to probably continue to see more fragmenting of the industry because of that. All right, let me see what you're saying. I recently grabbed a bag of chips when I was getting myself a stuff for lunch, and I ate all the contents of chips in 3 grabs. Impossible. Impossible. When you grabbed the chips, that's ridiculous. Time to eat. The rich. I don't know about that. Who's rich? Who's not? That's my question. Forever games with microtransactions open the floodgates, and when profit is king, of course, the big dogs are gonna focus on the microtransactions for their profit. Exactly. I think you're right. I think you're right. And I continue to say these are kind of like black box game. Like if some person was able to entertain themselves on a free to play game, what gets them to play the game that doesn't have that pricing model? And despite the fact that there are different categories of game, RPG, JRPG, first person shooter, third person shooter, looter shooter, racing, arcade racer, Metroidvania, we have different categories like that. But anytime I talk about the gaming industry, not only do I like to talk about those different categories, but we have different pricing models. We have subscriptions, we have premium play, like premium upfront, we have season passes, we have just a ton of them, like right, the ones that are live service. We have just different types of games and how to monetize them too. So it's almost like you segmented even further. And right now, we have not been able to figure out collectively how to maintain a new sustainable like franchise outside of free to play. Elden Ring, bless their heart, they're pushing the boundaries on it. From software, they are pulling out a new Elden Ring game like year over year or year, same. I don't know. It's like a bunch, right? But you're gonna start to see that more and more. How many, like, Souls-like games have we seen in the last 3 to 4 years? You then start to run into this issue that we saw in the earlier gaming, crisis, which is what is quality? There's no control on quality. Everybody rushes towards what's winning. And then the innovation, the money is not there for innovation to take hold. Why? Because there's not enough gamers. So I hope you can see why I continue to say we're in contraction. Thank you, Ambi, for the donation, for the 10 gifteds. Ambi, what I worry about is the time when escapism, sound like an escape room, is too expensive for the average person. Gaming, movies, whatever you do to escape is going to be more and more expensive. So many unfulfilled people. I think we already are seeing that. So I would say that the older generation of gamers, particularly whether they're parents, hey Spartan, what's going on? Hey Louis, what's going on? I didn't see Louis sneaking there. What I would say is the older generation of gamer is just shooting a bazooka of cash at the gaming industry, right? Like the people in this chat, I would argue between families for the people in the chat, like I'm saying household wise, you're spending not the average amount on games. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's the truth. You are spending well above the average. But even this group that has the disposable income, the disposable time to play games is starting to feel the pinch. So imagine the people who don't have that type of time and disposable income or prioritize something else. Where this group before could maybe stretch themselves to spend on gaming? No. And then you kind of just bring out everything else in the economy. Like I said, I'm talking about gaming, as y'all know, but I could be talking about something else. Totally. Because it's all related. And so when I hear this thing and people push back and they're like, Purple, we're not in a crisis. Purple, gaming's doing fine. I'm like, what are you looking at? If you're purely looking at new titles coming out, that's cool. But that's not the indicator of success. The indicator of success is how many new players and how much new money came into the industry. And how many of those new games took the new money. There's an amazing chart to look at, and it shows how much did games released in the current year, how much of the gaming industry money did they take year over year over year over year? And that number has been declining. And so what that means is that there's older games taking precedent, but also what I've not mentioned is the unsustainable budgets of these newer games launching out. And if you don't have enough gamers spending on those newer games and those budgets continue to increase, what happens? This is the same thing that we saw during the housing crisis. Is that people were building and building and building because they said, "Oh, there's going to be another person who buys the house. Even though I overspent on the house, someone else is going to buy it." That's what's happening now. But it's kind of different. You have gaming companies that say, "We're going to continue to build and build and build and efficiency building and so forth." But who are the gamers? This is why I continue to stress. So, do I think like this crash is going to happen like 1983? No. But I don't think that's what we should be looking at. I think what we should be looking at is the sustainable gradual decline. And that's why you'll notice I champion companies, developers, and publishers that I feel like are doing a solid job. I if you looked at my top 20 games, I would say I think 70% of them are coming from indie developers or double A developers, because I think that's where the creativity is. I love games that give me the complete experience for the price of the game. I don't know why is that so hard for people to understand? Hey, Audi, what's going on? I don't know why this idea that you know we're don't get me wrong, I think price increases suck, but I would rather pay a higher price to get a complete game than pay a lower price and then get piecemeal the game. You know what I mean? Especially if the story's not complete. Especially if you're going to say, "Oh, we're going to give you all the cool skins and gear and everything else, but you got to get the season pass." Or, "Hey, we're going to give you all the cool abilities, but you got to get on the add-on." Right? Like somehow, again, I think we've just for the industry as a whole has collectively forgotten what is a complete game. Somehow we've collectively have said, someone said, "Hey, Purple, the industry's always done these things where you had like Madden 95 to Madden 96 to Madden 97. We've always had these Zelda um new remakes and remasters." But I'm like, yeah, if you're going to tell me Zelda on a regular Game Boy to Zelda Color, I'm getting something different. Who are in what live? Oh, I was. That's why I said that's the first one I remember. If you talk to me about this idea that like year over year, like the graphics got better, the gameplay got better, we could do more with the teams, we got more realistic. They're not doing that anymore. They're not even giving you new maps in some of these games. But we've got into the habit of buying them year over year over year over year over year. And these are the same companies that do not innovate. And they're the same companies that are taking all the money. I don't know. I don't know. I try to I wish I had, and this has been compounded, okay? Compounded by what I started this segment off with. The industry needed two companies to do really well. I didn't just mean do well, do really well. And one of those companies is no longer going to release their marquee title in this year. So what does that make me ask? How many companies are barely hanging on? How many companies are barely hanging on right now? And how many companies potentially will not be able to make it between when Grand Theft Auto 6 was supposed to release last year and when Grand Theft Auto is going to release next year? Is it all Grand Theft Auto's fault? No. No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I think that's a collective issue. But I am saying that we are in this steady rate of decline. and you're going to continue to see contraction. You're going to continue to see layoffs. You're going to continue to see delays. You're going to start to see even more games coming out with bugs. And I think you're going to continue to see more predatory practices on the pricing of what a game is. Sneaky Snake 108. What do you got to say? Oh man, this is an interesting subject. Hey, Sneaky Snake. Oh, thanks. I don't know. Some people say it's controversial, but a small home in Ontario is 800,000 or more. Woo, woo, woo. To fix it, we need a new Leisure Suit Larry. Who's Leisure Suit Larry? On subject, I can do a spot of impression of his. You can record it if you don't mind, Billy. I would love to see you record it and post it in the Discord. I just want to play a game with the beginning, a middle, and an end. 20 hours, 60 hours, 100 hours. What? Just give me an end and let me move on to another mistress. Damn it! But that's the thing. They give you a beginning, middle, and end, but the end is really the middle. Like, we just saw this with Assassin's Creed Shadow, a game I actually defended. I thought what they did was pretty cool. If you play Assassin's Creed Shadow, and they were open about this, they did not add the first DLC to the game because it wasn't ready. Yet, they still charged $70 for that game. Is that a complete game? You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that Assassin's Creed Shadow launched without that many bugs per se. But at the same time, I'm like, you launched it already knowing you're going to charge for a DLC unless you pre-ordered. You launched it with a DLC, pre-ordered the deluxe, I believe. That was supposed to be part of the base game. No one's talking about that. And this happens repeatedly. I'm not like, I just feel like the industry has forgotten what a game is. Or we don't criticize that. And to me, that directly relates to the gaming recession I'm talking about. Wait, who do you, LS Larry? And you call yourself a gamer, a casual gamer at their finest? No, that's Isomotion Gaming. These kids, sorry. Cries in 75. Ooh, ooh, 7,500 hours? You know, Malcolm Gladwell would say you're almost an expert. You have 2,500 more to go. I finished it, Purple. Great game, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah, I think Ambi's finished it too. I don't think it's not a bad game. Like you said, it's hard for me to like, I'm not saying some of these things are bad games, but I am saying collectively this idea about what is a game, the fact that you said that's not a bad game because it had a decent story, which is missing some characters that can be found in the DLC, that it didn't rely on any bugs, and you said that's a good game. There would have been a time that a game launching without that many game-breaking bugs, but not a complete story, would have been criticized because it was not a complete story. But we've missed that. We missed that. We now have consumed ourselves with, is it a samurai or was he not a samurai? Is there a non-binary character or is there a binary character? Is there a gay character in the game? Is there not a gay character in the game? It's a black person. It's not a black person. We've consumed ourselves on these issues, but the actual issues that destroy the industry, we haven't. Again, if you think I'm talking about gaming, you're right. If you think I'm talking about something else, you're also right. Purple, move here to DR. House on the beach is cheap. Yeah, but didn't DR, y'all just, some chick just got murdered there, Louis. Look, you're like, Purple, you live in New York. Yeah, I know, but that chick was in college and she didn't make it back. That's one of the things that I like about Kingdom Hearts. Dislike the ending of each of those games. I'm fine with moving on from where that game left off, but each new game expands on the story, but it does not end at what feels like the middle ever. It ends with what actually feels like the end for the game. That is fine, Audi. Totally respect that one. If you feel like, if there is a natural story arc, right? And I think I blame this on people not actually reading books anymore. Like the greatest works of art. Like if I ask people how many people actually read The Count of Monte Cristo, I would probably have like a very small number, right? For one, the book is fairly long, but the other reason I like it is because like that is easily a book. Like if you were to read the whole book, that there's actual certain segments in the book. Like, right? And you could ultimately make that into multiple books, but they made it into one book, right? One book. Plays, another great thing. Each act of a play has a start and a finish. It has its climax at a certain part and finishes. But the play has an act one, act two. Same thing with an opera. Act one, act two, act three. But I blame movies for this. We started seeing this in movies where movies ended. They started breaking. Matrix. Mr. Fragments, what's going on? Matrix. Do y'all remember when Matrix came the second and third Matrix came out? Why wasn't that all one movie? But they broke it out into separate things. And I bring this up because I think, collectively have forgotten what a story is. Some games don't even have a story, which I'm okay with. I understand that. But we've forgotten, like, what's the complete story? What's the new gameplay element? Why are we paying a whole new game for a new NBA game? I don't get it. Darksiders. The game ends and the next is a parallel sequel. See, Darksiders, and they talk about each character. I'm actually okay. That is a type of game that has historically suffered because of what I'm talking about. Tells a decent story. No game-breaking bugs. Darksiders 2 had a few. Darksiders 3 had a couple. Darksiders Genesis had a couple, actually, more I think about it. But it's telling an interesting story. And that's a company that's a franchise that unfortunately has dealt with bankruptcy twice. Weird. Weird to me. Weird. So, Justin Sims 4, geez, Rabalica, yes, you are a Sims expert. That is ridiculous. You have over 20,000 hours since between all the Sims, you probably have 20 something hours. I barely read the chat. So yeah, iconic video games. What is going on? Industries like gaming with companies like Microsoft, Sony, Tencent are metaphorical monsters in today's society. They consume economies while being protected by the same rights, if not more, than we have. Ooh, David Wilson's becoming very philosophical right there. Totally agree. Hey, Purple, I see you, Sour Below. The Matrix 1 is the only good Matrix movie. I've not seen The Matrix 4, so I'm going to reserve judgment on that. But yeah, I think The Matrix 1, right, like, that's a complete story. But why? You get what I'm saying? Why was Matrix 2 and 3 two different stories? You know what I mean? Like, I could probably say the same thing about, like, some of the Star Wars. Like, we've got into this habit of trilogies. And I think Michelle from Wire Productions and Lamotte said that. Like, the human brain thinks in, like, 3, 1, 2, 3. But games today, for some reason, we don't even, like, think of the story in these, like, natural beats of a story. But we don't criticize that. Instead, like I said, we criticize, like, who the character is. It's weird. I read Torino Johnson, what's going on? I read it, Purple. It's one of my favorites. My minor was in English literature. Ooh, Lord. Yes, movies and books are on the 3-act structure thing. That's how we write screenplays. Exactly. But we don't use games like that. We don't lose that. And great read. Like I said, I love how they introduced it. Like who we thought the major villain in the beginning of the book ends up being you feel sorry for them, right? After he comes back. And then you kind of go through this gradual element of all the antagonists. Amazing. Right? You have the lead up, you have the imprisonment, and then you have the redemption arc. Love it. Love it. And even the redemption arc has 3 different arcs. That's storytelling. Black Myth Wukong. I mentioned this before. No one can tell me if they have not read, understand where Black Myth Wukong sits. No one can tell me that was a complete story because it isn't. So I continue to say it's like picking up the Odyssey after Odysseus has already ended after the Trojan War. Like you missed the entire part of why he's on this voyage. We missed it. We missed it. Garrett, what's going on? Have you ever read Foundation by Isaac? No, I have not. Y'all are about to test my literature skills, putting me on the spot. I have not. I'm not gonna lie. Just Garrett, what are we talking about? We are talking about the decline in the gaming industry, Garrett. And so I was just bringing out, Lono argues with me on this point. And I think you can ask chat, but I think I've articulated that we're not in a gaming, but we're in this steady decline. Jeff would probably argue with me on this. He's in chat as well. And so would probably a few of the people in chat, but that's what makes it spicy. And I try to outline, like, if you want to go watch it back, invite you to, but I try to outline the similarities between this decline and other declines, right? I try to like what drives growth versus what doesn't. I don't understand. Like if you have less money coming in and less gamers, how do we describe that other than a decline? I don't know. The reason Matrix 2 and 3 was different from the original was stolen from a black woman author. What? Torino Johnson bringing down facts. And they didn't know where to go after that. She also wrote the Terminator story and she is suing. And it seems like she's suing a couple of years too late. But I'm all here for it. I think I'm on Team Lona on this one, but in some ways you're probably right. No, I think I enjoy it. I've outlined my argument here. But and I totally get if you disagree. Like I said, I think if you're enjoying the games coming out, keep enjoying them. There's going to continue to be winners. But as an industry as a whole, I don't know. I equate it to the movie industry. If you were to say, let me go invest in a movie, if you were to say, let me go invest in a TV company, if you were to say, let me go invest in a music label, let me go invest in a printed media label, people are like, no, that's a dumb idea. Why? Because there's less customers for each of those products. There's less outlets for each of those products. There's less publishers. There's less writers. So what's going to change? I think that's where gaming is just at the tip of the iceberg of what some of those other industries are experiencing. Purple, I tried to download Discord on my phone and for some reason it wouldn't work. No worries, Billy. I Discord, Ambi and Rouster have to help me with Discord. True story. The Sims movie? There's a Sims movie? I didn't know that. I know there's a Minecraft movie, which again, if you're one of those friends, if you're one of the winners in the gaming industry, you're probably going to continue to win. You know what I mean? I continue to say this about Xbox. Like, I feel bad for people with Xbox because I was like, once Xbox got ABK, you could kiss back. The ABK alone, like, was nearly double the profitability of all of Xbox combined. And they already figured out that they don't need to do much except wash, rinse, and repeat. So guess what's going to happen to all these other things that they initially wanted to invest in and build up? You heard that. They're going to become porting houses. Don't believe me. Watch it. Her name is Sophia Stewart. What? I feel like I should know this chick. She says they messed things up and that the Terminator is a sequel to the Matrix. She used to work for James Cameron. The Terminator is a sequel to the Matrix? I don't know. I'm thinking about that, y'all. That's kind of I can kinda see that, right? We can kinda see that, that the robot sends someone to, like someone to the past in Terminator, and in The Matrix, they send someone to a different dimension. I can kinda see that. Ooh, I wonder what she's saying about AI today. Chicken Jockey. I've been trying to get more activity in the Discord recently. Rouster, you've been doing a great job. Robolica's been doing a great job. I need to post my garden. I'm gonna do that. Robolica has motivated me. Robolica, you put out the you said I thought those are annuals, the flower you're talking about. You said when they die off, but I thought those were annuals and they were gonna be there all summer. Margot Robbie? What? The Sims movie by the same person as the Barbie movie. Ooh. Confession. I haven't seen the Barbie movie, even though I heard it was good. It kind of makes sense. Yeah, I thought so too. I was like, it kind of does. I'm gotta like, are y'all thinking what I'm thinking? Like Matrix, uh, a Matrix Terminator movie thon? What? I would be okay. There, I mean, I don't feel like it gets too bad on any of those, really. You know? So I'd be kinda down. I feel like they all maintain a C plus or higher type of rating. It's not too late because the black guy that created the Super Soaker in the '80s just now got his payback this past year. He won $50 million for a water gun. Wow. Hey, Sean, what's going on? C says in the Minecraft movie, I haven't seen Chicken Jockey. I haven't seen it, but y'all, that's funny as all get up though. Hey, Cherry Man. Um, I'm waiting for your garden pics. I'm gonna have to post different ones. So I thought what I would do is like certain flowers. You know what I mean? So I think like I'll always give you like an orchid because I have like 15 different varieties of orchids, if not more, and like a different one. So this weekend coming up are the petunias, and those are like huge. So that's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. I'm just waiting for them to open up. It's perennial. There's another plant with a similar name that is annual. Yeah, like I saw it looking like that, and that's maybe the one I'm because it's they always put in the hanging gardens or the hanging pots. That's when I saw that. But okay, you're saying because I was like, how is she getting that thing to grow again? Have you started using your Discord for more social stuff? Last I knew it was just for gaming voice. I'll be sure to pop. Yeah, so if y'all haven't checked over, you can thank Rouster for the Discord. We put Rouster came up with the idea of doing in real life stuff. So, outside of gaming, since most of us have other lives. So Rabolica put her garden in there. She also showcased her Mother's Day gift, which was a new PC. Ambi showed his hobby of fish aquarium, waterscaping. Joe, it's just Joe Games. He's at PAX East right now doing game developer stuff. Rouster is always doing like weightlifting stuff. And I was going to showcase probably, like I said, it's the spring, summertime. So a lot of my, the other thing I do, which is outside, like I do a lot of gardening. So I'll probably start showcasing different things, the Japanese maple, the magnolia, the dogwood, different trees, as well as different flowers that are coming in. So I'm excited. Oh, a fuchsia. Uh yes. Yes, 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 yes. That's the one. Matrix 1, Terminator 1, and T2, and you're done. The rest are garbage. No. No, they're not garbage. You're saying Terminator okay, Terminator 1, obviously classic. Terminator 2 obviously comes back and protects the boy. You're saying the one with the chick was garbage? There's the one with the chick. There's the one where they go into the future. I thought that was garbage. There's the one where they run into Sarah Connor, like the real actress Sarah Connor, and they go I thought that was like I understand why people say garbage, but I didn't think it was totally it's not as y'all know it's not as bad as the Alien sequels. I'm not you're not gonna get me to say Terminator and the Matrix sequels are as bad as the Alien sequels. No way. I'm useless. No, you're not. Y'all aren't useless. Y'all aren't useless. I'm y'all aren't useless. But yeah, so no, I would just say like I think like this by the way, y'all, I brought up the Matrix just because we had a conversation earlier if you're just coming in about what is an actual complete game. And I've said that over the last 2 decades, gamers have forgotten, by far and large, have forgotten what an actual game is. And we've replaced it with this idea of like DLCs and add-ons and expansions and season passes and things that are meant for you to monetize has actually clouded our idea of what a complete game is, what a complete story arc is, what a complete just experience is. And instead, we focused on that initial price of, oh, you can't go above $60. And it's like, they've been going above $60. You've been spending more than $60 on the same experience. You just, because of how they did their little, we stopped. We took our eye off the prize. We let them get away with it. I do a lot of vegetable gardening. Picked a ton of rhubarb this afternoon, making rhubarb crumble. So I have 3 I have strawberries, so those will be probably June. I have a peach tree that will probably be end of June. It's already flowered. I don't know how it's got a ton of peaches on it. The plum trees are not gonna do anything. The lemon and lime tree, I think those are later summer bloomers, so more to come. Um, oh, and the fig tree. The fig tree is there's 2 of them, and they just go. They just go. I love the Matrix series, but I won't talk about the 4th one. I haven't seen the 4th one. Is it like taboo? Can you not talk about it? Is the 4th one like, we don't talk about the 4th one? That's how I feel about Alien 4. No, no, I don't like that one. Y'all, I do not uh, like I don't like that one. That's all I can say. I don't like that one. We will not talk about Alien 4 or Predator 2. I don't like to talk about that one. Actually, The Predators is the one I don't wanna talk about. Compared to Predator, but both of them, I don't know. Um, I believe that we have basically forgotten as the industry of what a game is. Audi, agree. Agree. You're right there with me. You're right there with me. But the thing is I connect that to also why the industry is in decline. And we're gonna continue to be in decline because the actual things that make an industry in decline, lack of gamers, lack of revenue coming in, lack of people playing on the game, so getting less time for their money, right? Spending more for less. These are things that actually end up in decline. I don't necessarily care about how many game journalists give a game 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10. You can do that all day long, but that masks the bigger issue, and I continue to say it's like the movie industry. Every year we have an Academy Awards, and we have these movies, we have blockbuster movies, we have movies that are making over $1 billion year over year over year, but that doesn't mean AMC is just blowing it out the door, doesn't mean Regal's just doing amazing, right? Because the movie industry is in decline. Um It's Keanu Reeves. It is Keanu Reeves with the new Morpheus as part of our movie series. What? Where are we going? We might have seen the Matrix 4. No. I did? Wait, news. I did. I did. I did watch the new Matrix 4. I totally forgot about. Yeah, then we don't talk. I totally forgot about it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I literally forgot. This happened yesterday too. There's this movie with Charlize Theron and their undead soldiers and stuff. I totally forgot I watched that movie. I Yeah, I am getting old, like for real, for real. Terminator is clear as the female Terminator, and the actress who played Cersei Lannister on Game of Thrones played Sarah Connor in the TV show. I remember see Terminator 3, I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I mean, I thought, like, it was kinda dumb. Like, there's a scene I keep seeing where she, like, makes her breasts bigger, and I was just like, "This is stupid." But I'm thinking just, like, her fighting sequences I thought were kinda cool. I got the strawberries, but had some issue with rat sauce, so I didn't get to have any, but hoping for better luck this year and a few different herbs and stuff like that too, but they grow themselves. That's cool. You know what I have in my garden, right, that's running out around in my neighborhood? I'm not kidding y'all. I've seen this thing 4 times. And I think I'm the only one who sees it because none of the neighbors see it. We have a turkey running around in the neighborhood. And it's like I see it briefly like every other day for like 2 or 3 seconds. And it's the craziest because I'll see it at different parts on the block, but it's a turkey. Like a gobble gobble turkey. And I'm the only one who sees this thing. This it's not like I live by turkeys, but I'm like everybody's like, "Sure." Like, "Yeah, okay." I'm like, "Yes, there's a turkey over there." It's the weirdest thing. But I don't know, you mentioned rats, and I was thinking turkeys. Maybe I should watch The Matrix again because before they were boring, but best thing to come from the franchise was the game. There's a Matrix game? What the? I have 2 pear trees, a cherry, see, I want a pear tree. A secatone berry, ooh, sakaton, plus red and black currants. See, y'all have more. I have more flowers. I have more flowers. I don't think any of my fruit trees are gonna bear anything. Like I say I have them, but I don't think they're gonna do it. Except the fig trees. They have a mind of their own. There's a new Predator movie coming out and a new Alien TV show. Alien TV show sounds dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds dumb. Like, where are you gonna go with that? Predator movie, I'm okay with because of what was that one that they did on Hulu? I thought that was decent. I mean, don't get too mad at me. I thought that was decent. Um, Early access in those big industries, who takes advantage of it? Who take advantage? Yes, that's what I said. It's the big ones. They can do it. And then they can buy up the IP of the ones who are actually innovating and then do nothing with that IP. Like, I don't understand. This is what happened in the movie industry. This is what happened in the TV industry. This is what happened in the radio station industry. This is what happened in the magazine industry. This is what happened in the music industry. All of those industries, I would argue, are not growing, if not declining, if not on the brink of total collapse. All right. Let's see. I love my AMC Hulu is an animated Predator series coming out. What? An animated Predator series? I don't even think. How's it going fast? I wish I could forget. I forgot about it because I still don't know what happened. I was during the band, so it might be a blur. Ew, weird. Yeah, I agree about those alien movies. I only like the first two. Now, Predator 1 and 2 were great. And the Predator movie they did on Amazon Prey is really good. See, I like the Predator movie that they did where they go to that other place and it has the guy with the really big nose, and it has, I think, Morpheus. I think he's in that one. If I just ruined the movie for some people, I'm sorry. I like that one as well. It's a skinwalker. What? It's a phantom turkey. No, it's not. It's a real thing. I wish it was a turkey in my garden. No, Dave Wilson, we're not. I think it's trying to tell me something. I honestly I spent 30 minutes today looking at what two turkeys symbolize. I'm not joking. I spent 30 minutes looking at what turkeys symbolize. And what does it mean when you see a random sighting of a turkey? Because I feel like it's trying. It has to. He always like it's a she, by the way. She always like pops out and she like looks at me. And then she's like scurries around. And I swear a raptor is a turkey. They move the exact same way. Is it someone's pet? No, no one can no one knows, no one sees it. I'm the only one who sees it. We haven't turkey vultures. See, we do have turkey vultures. Those are vultures though. This thing is like a giant road runner. It's a turkey. It's the best way I can say it. Prey was really good. Hey, I see it. Is it time for a Holter Lo-Fi? Jeff, I don't know. It's kind of late. I don't know if we're gonna get anybody on. Usually I bring them on at 9, so I may just close it out. I may just go the next 15 minutes. Unless somebody wants to come on. If y'all want to come on, put it in chat. I'll drop the link. But if you don't, like, I don't want to go too late. The new Alien show is a prequel set before the original movie, and this new Predator movie follows the Predator itself. What? The new Alien show is a prequel set before the original movie. Like, so is it a prequel to Prometheus? Right? Because technically Prometheus is a prequel, right, to the original? Or is it like a prequel to a prequel? Or is it a prequel just to the first one? I live in the South, so no worries, Rouster. So turkeys know better than to just walk around. Hey, don't worry, don't get me wrong. That's Predators with Lawrence Fishburne. Yes, that one I liked. She could angel in disguise. She might be an. I've looked. They have said that turkeys in some indigenous cultures have signified a deity. Y'all think I'm joking? I looked this up. And you know, when I look something up, it's true. Watch it be like some random thing. You're right. My industry is spending too much on movies and not developing the stories instead of explosions. Yes, we are trying to find a way to get people back in theaters. Torino Jones, I didn't know you were in movies. But yeah, John Woo, go boom. You know, big actor, like the same actors, actresses with the same look. Storylines that are just redone, but in space. That's for you, simpleton. You know what I'm talking about. We have Turkish around here too. I see them occasionally, but I haven't. I've never seen this thing. No, it takes place 2 years before the events of the original Alien film. 2 years before. So what? When they're on that other planet before, who does it follow? I'm okay with an Alien TV show if it's done correctly and with an actual good story. But how? Okay, Audi. Like I agree. I agree if it's done well, but I just don't. I right now the best TV shows are based upon video games. You know what I mean? Like I just don't feel like Hollywood knows. Case in point, we just had a writer's strike. I just don't believe they. I don't think so. And what did I say earlier? One of the other things that is like has nothing to do with the gaming companies, has nothing to do with the movie companies. You have a generation of people, little people. You have a generation of people who do not know how to concentrate. Am I saying the whole generation doesn't know how to concentrate? No, but I'm saying there's a high enough number of them that don't know how to concentrate that they can't sit through an entire movie. They can't even sit through an entire video. They're so used to 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. And the industry knows this. So what they give them is these like incomplete vignettes. That's my thing. Adrian Brody starred in the Predator movie where they dropped the criminals on the Predator. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I liked it. God works in mysteriously. The turkey could be a sign from God. It could. It could. Not even Remy saw it today. He's back there, by the way. You leave the Sydney Sweeneys of the world alone. The Sydney Sweeney? Sydney Sweeney. She's the one from what's the one with Zendaya? The HBO show? Isn't that her? The one who's like they make a video on what is that show called? It's like with all the drugs and stuff. It's on HBO. Isn't that Sydney Sweeney or no? Did I get that wrong? I miss corny sci-fi shows with low budget effects in 2022 per episode. You know what? I'm there with you, Rebecca. Like we've talked about Lost. Lono likes Lost. We've talked about it's a really good show, Firefly, but that wasn't 22, 26 episodes. But yeah, but that's because we have the decline of traditional media. And now what there is this Netflix model, which is a binge model, which is like 6 to 8 episodes, maybe 10. Again, we forgot what a TV show is. A season of a TV show. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to watch, like, a Lost from season 1 to season 3, like, you that would be like an entire decade of Netflix seasons. I don't know. Euphoria? Yeah, Euphoria. Isn't that where Sydney, whatever her name is? Okay. Um, Euphoria. The show is Euphoria. Yeah. What else is she in? Firefly was, but it was canceled too soon. Yes. But that's the thing. That was the same time that Firefly was canceled, we could start to say was the consolidation of the traditional TV industry. And guess what? Firefly, those types of shows, less and less of them. And guess what? Repeat the equivalent of the live service black hole gaming for games where people just go there, they don't spend money or they spend. It's very predatory practices. It's the same game. They don't leave that game. The equivalent of that in TV world is reality TV. You now go on Netflix or who there's so many of these reality TV shows that aren't even reality. And I'm not saying it's all bad, but I think there needs how do you balance that out? And that's the same thing for gaming. How do you balance this out? Babylon 5, I remember Babylon 5. The new alien show will follow a young woman and a group of soldiers who discover a mysterious vessel that crashed onto Earth. What? See, like that's you're telling me the aliens are on Earth? That don't make sense. Then Prometheus and that's what I'm saying. So you're changing. Is this Dogma? Is this what are they? Is this canon? I love Lost. A lot of people, yeah, Lost is top. Is it corny? Is it dumb? Did they leave things unanswered? Yes. Yes. But that, like those first 3 seasons, don't make that no more. Firefly was whoa, geez. I think we all think it's great because it didn't get to be ruined with the second season. You know what else? You know what? So you bring up a good point. Do you remember there was an HBO series called Rome? Rome season 1, really, really good. Rome season 2, no. So maybe you have a point there, Simpleton. I'm not you might have a point. I don't understand how a TV show will last long. Yeah, Billy, I think you're right. That's how I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. Sydney was in Eden, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in Madam Web. Once a Time in Hollywood I have on HD Blu-ray. I haven't seen Eden, and I haven't seen Madam Web. I don't get to watch TV shows that like between gardening, gaming, working, reading. So I started reading a lot. And I started reading graphic novels. I think I told you all this. I started reading graphic novels because I feel like graphic novels are kind of one of the few mediums that there is a lot of really strong storytelling going on there. And then you put art in it. I like that a lot. I'm not saying it's all great, but I think I see that like it's something I did not explore when I was younger. And now that I'm exploring it, it's like, oh wow, some of this is like really good. So like that takes up actually a lot of my time. And that had my imagination and Lost caused me to think more. Oh, nice. Once Upon a Time had a bunch of lost Easter eggs because it was made by the same. Yeah, they were both ABC. Once Upon a Time was pretty good. There was another one that I thought was also pretty good for a first season, but it's not sci-fi. Revenge. Like there was a time where ABC like did its final push of like solid TV shows. It's like a decade ago. And that was like decent. But then, like, Once Upon a Time got weird, Revenge got weird. Revenge also never speaking about, um, kind of what were we talking about, Torino Johnson? What is it? What's the, Victor Hugo. Why can I not think of the name of the game? Count of Monte Cristo, right? Kind of a connection there. You know what another was a good show? Doctor Who. Doctor Who's yeah, but you can't just say Doctor Who, Sneaky Snake. You can't just say that. You gotta give like you gotta give like a start. Which that's like saying 007. Like which Doctor Who? You know what I mean? Which graphic novels have I been reading? Oh my goodness. I would say who wrote Kill or Be Killed? I'm reading like that series, but it's the spin-off of Criminal. So it's not Criminal, but it's a spin-off of Criminal. Um, and then I'm The House of the Undying or the Undead. It's all by him. That's what I'm reading. Revolution season was great. I didn't get through. I haven't seen Revolution. Don't watch Madam Web. A horrible Spider-Man spin-off that shouldn't have been made. Oh my goodness. See, that's the other thing. Spider-Man. Marvel in general. I understand like there's Spider-Man and then there's Marvel. But it seems like they're taking it's just I don't know, like they see like an opening of like, oh, this is cool IP. And then they just like go bananas with it. And now it's hard to even get a good superhero movie. Like we're tired of superheroes. You know what I mean? I feel like the gaming industry does the same thing. There's not a self-correcting mechanism. Ed Brubaker, yes, it's Ed Brubaker is the person I was thinking of. The last Doctor Who was the 11th. What? Which one? I gotta see which one you're talking about. Doctor Who's on Saturdays right now. There's so many Doctor Who's. I think Doctor Who's solid. But see, that's an IP. Look how old that IP is, right? And that is an IP, but like I think the British just do art differently. You know what I mean? I think there is something about this is our identity. Right? This is why I think Nintendo does so well with Mario because they are able to understand what their audience wants and explore that more. The gaming industry, instead of looking at like some of these things that may not be the most profitable, the newest, baddest thing, the gaming industry in the United States and the Western world, for the most part, looks at what is the most profitable, what shows the most potential technology wise, right? This is why I criticize Xbox so much because I feel like they do that a lot. Like they kind of they're gonna give you like the new, like, look what we did with the gaming technology, but it's like, yeah, but the game's not fun. You know, I think like the storytelling in the United States, and I'm gonna center on that, is geared towards profit as we're in other parts of the world, and Doctor Who's a great example. It's geared towards like this integrity. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just me. From about 10 to 15 years with Spider-Man? That's good. That's super cool. I've been watching Doctor Who since the 80s. Tom Baker was my all-time favorite Doctor Who, but I like the newer ones also. All right, I'm gonna have to watch it. We have an entire Discord, y'all, for like if there is something you want us to, and we may start doing that. Just for some people who are like, yo, I want something else. I want to like, we may just start having like recommendations of like what you think is the best movie or TV show. There's like a whole thing. That was Ambi's idea. So shout out to Ambi to say like, hey, we talk about movies a lot. What about if we like had our recommendations? So if there's something that you want my opinion on or anybody's opinion on, put it in there. Put it in there. That's what it's there. All right. But more importantly, Russell T Davies is back. Okay. See, I need to catch up. See, I have not been catch I like the magical fantasy aspect of Once Upon a Time. I don't watch many shows, so it was cool to see a show I watched mention. Oh, really? Once Upon a Time was cool. Because it took all the characters and put them in modern time, and I used to like Ruby for Little Red Riding Hood. I thought and she was always wearing red. I thought that was, like, super cool. I like how they did that. Like, I liked how Once Upon a Time played with fairy tales, and I'm a super big fan of that. If you can revitalize old like, that type of IP and bring it to a modern audience in the way they did it, where it's kinda like this mystery, it's kinda like, "What's going on?" But you kinda know all the characters, but you know them in a different way. See, that is good. That is solid. We don't do that anymore. We tell the same story over and over with a different skin. And now we tell the same story over and over, but we cut off we don't end it at the same point. Thanks, Ross, for posting it. Yeah, take the Monty Python films. I love their TV and cartoons from the 80s and Black Air. Are you being served, Mr. Bean? Oh man, there's a whole time where Mr. Bean came into the United States and everybody. I just remember that. That was it. Then they had a Mr. Bean movie. That was weird. I tried to watch every animated Spider-Man on Disney Plus, but I couldn't watch Spider-Woman. Too weird. Ooh, who owns that one? It was very cool. Oh, my mom went to high school with Red's grandmother. From the movie? From the TV show? That is so interesting. But yeah, like I said, I think I'm gonna probably end this one in the next 5 or unless somebody wants to come on. If someone wants to come on, I'll post the link. But I definitely wanted to talk about that because and shout out to Jack of all trades. As he was the one who kind of like pushed me on this question in his chat. And he's right. I did say what the industry needed in the fact that we're now not going to get that. What is my prognosis? But my prognosis is the same, which is a decline. So, but yeah, also just to let everybody know, I will most likely be streaming on maybe tomorrow and maybe Saturday for maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday with oh my goodness, South of Midnight, and then I may Sunday do the midnight walk. So watch for that. I told y'all some of the games I was most looking forward to. So Rusty Rabbit came out last week. Midnight Walk came out today, and Hotel Architect comes out in a week and a half. So I did want to let y'all know that. I'm gonna keep letting y'all know when the top 20 films or games I like come out. I actually had an entire list of games here, but we'll get to that maybe next week. We're gonna try to get Zalik on the channel next week, so Down Under. She said she was gonna be willing to jump on. She's just trying to get her setup all set up, all set up. Yeah, and so either Zalik will be there next week or the week after, and which one ever she's not, we will do a lot of like new game trailers, whichever one. Life of Brian, Kill Me Every Time. British comedies are built different. They are, but I think that's because they just have an identity. Like I think America does like our identity is like hollow for certain things. Don't watch. I'm gonna get someone like Vet in chat being like, "What are you calling hollow?" A gay space that was actually filmed as NCIS and reminds me of Crime Scene Cleared that just came out. Really? I didn't even know that was a game. NCIS, that's what is that? It's always on USA. I have the gym, but I'll be there after. No worries, roster. No worries. No worries. Um, like I said, I'm trying to get through these two. I think I have two more like 2 hour sessions for South of Midnight. And then I'll be done. I think it's a great game. I think it's lived up to my expectations. So I have no complaints there. Nothing about Revenge from a Savage Planet that game came out. I didn't have that on my list, but I saw who did I see playing Revenge from the set? I think I saw Megatron playing that game today. That game. There's a bunch of I'm only saying the ones I follow. I can't get them all. I'm only gonna be the ones that I follow. Jeff's always so critical. So critical. I also have to go to Zalek's birthday stream tomorrow. Oh, y'all, Zalek has a birthday stream tomorrow, so we all should show up. I will. I'll try my best. I have some water lilies I have to go pick up. But I will definitely try. Also, remember, Mother's Day is this weekend. We will be at a garden party with my mom. Or actually, I don't know. She may have said she doesn't want to go anymore, but Meg played it. Yeah. Well, I'm always gonna we had Journey to the Savage Planet on Stadia. So I'm always gonna support those people that support Stadia. But I obviously did not know who makes this, like Beaver Studios. What did they call themselves? Isn't that the one? Thank you, Roster, for putting Zalek's channel out. She's super, super close. We're trying to get her and Robolica. So don't forget Robolica. We're trying to get her and Robolica to Twitch partner. And I think Robolica is like 10 away. So hopefully if you go support our as we found out Sims extraordinaire there. So awesome stuff. But like I said, I'll close it down here in the next 3 or so minutes. And again, just as final reminder, I will be putting out some more the thumbnails will be controversial. The talking points will be stuff I talked about today in this video or some derivative of what I talked about in today's video. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the British Saturday Night Live that was announced recently. I know they will take risks unlike our version. We'll see. I mean, oh, that's going to be tough. There's so much material. There's actually some major world events that happen. There's an American Pope. Like, there's some what? I don't know. The world is weird, man. Why is that weird that I think that's weird? I don't even know. But I think it's weird. Zalek is streaming right now as a test for a birthday stream tomorrow. All right, well, go there, y'all, and say, what's up to Zalek? Give her a little shout. She'll be like, where do all these people come from? My Tuesday stream was the best yet. Thanks to everyone who watched. Of course, Rebecca. Once I got it in the Discord, and I think that was Rouster who got it there or Ambi. Once that, and now I can because I get those updates from y'all. Once I saw that, then it's like a lot easier to be like, oh, I just got off this call. Let me go hop in over there. Hey, Billy, what's up? Billy, we're going to be shutting it down here in a couple of minutes. Y'all, Billy is super cool. If y'all haven't seen, Billy comes by. I met Billy on Johnny Roadkill's stream, and Billy's been super supportive. Great addition for Billy to come around. Always positive. I like Billy. So thanks, Billy, for coming around. But yeah, no, it's super awesome to hear Robolica. I'm glad. And I saw some people. Who did I see? I saw Neil. I don't get to see Neil often. Rouster was there. There's a bunch of people. Your rig. Who? Robolica's rig? Robolica got a new rig. Robolica got a new rig. But yeah, you're right. On what? Oh yeah. Yeah, the roll events? Yeah. It's kind of crazy. But I think it's crazy because there's so many things I think is crazy about this. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird. It's just maybe it's always been like that, but I don't know. I have this image of the Godfather in my head right now, but yeah, go check that out. The world has a new pope. I thought it was also weird that this I watched it. I'm gonna get taken. So as someone who grew up Catholic, this idea of these really old men go into a room, it's 100 of them, and they vote on this one person. They themselves are not voted on, but they vote on this one person who now leads this entire institution. I also thought that was weird. When you think about it, it's kind of What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. But they were. I mean, they selected a pope faster than like the American political systems found a Speaker of the House. So like, I don't know, maybe that's why we should do it. I've been watching Xbox International in the mornings recently. It's become my driving while I listen. Oh, Louis is so good. Louis is so good. I love Louis. Like he has like he's kind of console worry. That's where I run into Sanchez a lot. Sanchez, but he does it with care. And I think Louis, all of those guys, like Louis, Sourblow's not so much, but Web Dave. I don't know if y'all remember Web Dave, but he's super awesome. He has his gamers council type of deal. They're all like super, super cool guys. And like anytime I'm having a it's so cool because like I got to meet them like behind the scenes to kind of understand who they are. And it's just super cool to like people who are like very console but then you just realize like there's someone behind that. Super cool. Back been muting on and off during cutscenes. No worries. No worries, Mel. No worries. No worries. Thanks for coming back. I kept thinking about the movie Conclave with the pop situation. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that I don't know, like I think that movie's like clouded my vision of the what happens. But like I said, they pick someone. So I'm okay. They pick someone. I just think it's interesting that they could come to an agreement. So maybe there's something to be said about that system. Like they were like, okay, that's who we're going with. No questions. And then white smoke. Oh yeah, Purple. I have cool song for you that I meant to tell you about last week. It's called Relentless Love by Corey Asbury. Okay, I'll listen to it. Probably listen to it after this stream, actually. Let me just get that going. I'll definitely listen to it. But we're almost at that time at the end of the show. I said I wanted to go for 2 hours. Unless someone wants to go, I don't mind, but it is getting late, especially for those in the East Coast. Recommendation, if you can find anywhere, a film called Topper and Topper Returns. It's old film, but they are funny. Topper and Topper Returns. Okay, no worries. And I definitely encourage y'all. I'm gonna watch both of these. I definitely encourage y'all if y'all have any type of media that you want to share that you're like, yo, this is a great one, or like there's like like during Halloween, I always do like one of my favorite horror films from like that 70s, 80s era. Um, and I'll be posting it there. So if there's stuff that you want us to check out, just it doesn't have to be gaming, like, you know, but there's something there, like post it there. And I'll probably post both of these over there just so people get I think like understanding what people like in their art also helps us just understand each other, humanize ourselves. So thanks for that, Torino. All right, y'all. It's about that time. Thank you all for coming by. Also, thank you for helping me get over 600 subscribers. Thank you to everyone. Super cool to see the response from that most recent video. So thank you all for that who helped kind of kick that off, that discussion when it was just members only. But with that, I'm gonna leave y'all like I always leave y'all. I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, what you game on, how long you've been gaming. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And I do mean that. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze, and the proof is in the plane. All right, y'all, take care, and I will see you this weekend when I stream. All right, later, Billy. Later, Simpleton. Later, Torino. And Zalik, yeah, go say hey to her. It's her birthday stream today. All right, take care, y'all. Let's see, cool music coming. It's the guitar one. I like this one. Dun, dun, dun.